A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudannaika. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Justice will be done to the victims of the Easter Sunday attack. An assurance by the President. Acting IGP issues directives to all police stations to conduct investigations within 2 weeks on all existing complaints. Namal invites groups that left the SLPP. Tamil People's General Assembly to remain silent at the upcoming general election. Special import levy on potatoes and big onions increased.
And now the story is in detail. President Anrukumara Dissanayake assured that the victims of the Easter Sunday attack will get justice. He made the statement when he met victims of the Easter Sunday attack today.
The President and His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit engaged in a discussion with the families of those killed and injured in the Easter Sunday attack at the St. Sebastian's Church in Katwapitia, Negombo today.
එදා සිට අපි පුළුවන් තරම් උත්සාහ කරා අපිට කවුද මේක කළේ කියන එක දැනගන්නට විනිවිද පෙනෙන පරීක්ෂණයක්.
Ever since the attacks, we have tried our best to find out who was behind this through a transparent investigation. Because the Presidential Committee, Vijit Malalgoda's committee and the Parliamentary Select Committee have arrived at different conclusions. All of those reports pointed at neglecting responsibility, but those committees did not find out who was behind this, who purchased the explosives, who organized this, or who encouraged these people. It feels as though we can only see the tip of the iceberg, while something much larger lies beneath the surface. Over the years, we have appealed to numerous leaders for assistance, but ultimately we found ourselves compelled to approach the Human Rights Council in Geneva. Still, we have not got any solution. This has left us feeling hopeless. The question that lingers in our mind is, why did they do this to us? What did we do to them to deserve such treatment? We placed our trust in you because we desperately seek answers to these questions.
ඒ නිසා අපිට මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරයක් අවශ්‍ය නිසා තමයි මෙදා අපි ඔබතුමා ගැන විශ්වාසය ලැබුවේ.
දැනට අවුරුදු 5කට වඩා වැඩි කාලයක් ගත වෙලා තිබෙනවා. අපි එවැනි ඛේදවාචකයක් කිසිසේත්ම කාලේ වැලිතලාවට යටපත් වෙලා ඒක මකා දමන්න ඉඩ දෙන්නේ.
More than 5 years have passed since the Easter Sunday attacks. We will never allow for such a tragedy to be forgotten or to get lost in the sands of time. I advise the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security that we should not be investigating trying to find evidence to prove our assumptions. I advised officials to conduct a transparent and impartial investigation guided by openness and objectivity. One reason is there is widespread belief in society that the Easter Sunday attacks may have been carried out to gain political mileage. If hundreds of innocent lives were sacrificed for political purposes, that is a tragedy. If politics in our country has reached such a destructive place, the people must know about this. Secondly, there is growing concern in society regarding these investigations. People are questioning whether the government's mechanisms for preventing attacks or conspiracies are somehow involved in these incidents. If any attack undermines the nation's security mechanisms in the minds of the people, our country will always remain unsafe. It will be unsafe even now. If the groups tasked with preventing such attacks become involved in them, it creates an extremely dangerous situation. It is crucial that the truth of what happened is uncovered. Thirdly, nearly 274 people lost their lives and many more were injured. The victims deserve justice for the loss of their loved ones, children and families. Therefore, we must conduct these investigations fairly. I believe the Easter Sunday attack has significantly divided our society, creating suspicion, hatred and anger among different groups. Therefore, it is essential that justice is served. I guarantee to you that your expectations are the same as mine. First and foremost, we have established a regime where the goal of the citizens of this country aligns with mine. Therefore, it is both my expectation and hope that the justice you seek will undoubtedly be delivered. We have already initiated this process and have made arrangements to begin the investigations very soon. You have placed your trust in us, and we will ensure justice and fairness in this matter. We need an investigation and an experience that will prevent such a tragedy from ever happening in our country again. I assure you of that.
අපේ පරීක්ෂණ දියත් කිරීම සඳහා කටයුතු කරලා තිබෙනවා. ඔබ අප කෙරෙහි විශ්වාසය තබන්න. ඔබට අප මේ ප්‍රශ්නයේදී සාධාරණත්වයේ යුක්තිය මේ සමාජය තුළ තහවුරු කරනවා. නැවත මෙවැනි ඛේදවාචකයක් අපේ රට තුළ ඇති නොවීම සඳහා වූ පරීක්ෂණයක් අත්දැකීමක් අපේ රට අවශ්‍යයි. ඒ පිළිබඳව ඔබට සහතික කරනවා.
The general public who were present were also given the opportunity to direct questions to the president. I expect this much and nothing more. My son, my eldest son, and these two children were lost. I had one daughter, my only daughter, and she had 3 children. Everyone is gone. I'm living alone now, facing each day with despair. I'm not asking for anything else. I'm simply asking for justice.
That is true. We have endured the pain of losing loved ones for no reason. Even me personally, when someone or a group takes the lives of others without a reason, it creates an unbearable pain in our hearts. We have experienced that too. Just like you, we know the deep sorrow of that darkness. Therefore, we view it as a responsibility. Therefore, we see this as our responsibility to ensure that justice is delivered.
Acting IGP Attorney Priyantha Veerasurya has instructed all police stations to complete the investigations of complaints that have not been investigated or have been partially investigated within the next 2 weeks. The acting IGP informed all senior officials, including provincial senior DIGs, to implement a special program to facilitate this.
According to a statement released by the acting IGP, it was revealed that a significant number of complaints have either not been investigated or remain unresolved. This situation could lead to minor incidents escalating to serious crimes and also undermining public trust in the police. Additionally, acting IGP Veerasurya has ordered all officers in charge of each police station to initiate investigations into complaints on the same day that they are reported and to further ensure that investigations are completed within 48 hours. The acting IGP's directive further highlights that relevant senior officials should ensure compliance with these instructions and report any related issues on non-compliance with these directives.
Our country is facing an economic crisis. The United Nations have identified massive economic crimes as a reason for why Sri Lanka is facing an economic crisis. Today's revelation is on the economic crimes committed in implementing a project to boost dairy production in the country.
What happened to Sri Lanka?
Milk has been considered as an important source of nutrition in Sri Lanka for many generations. The contribution made by local dairy farmers and the dairy industry in the country to nourish all Sri Lankans throughout the decades is immeasurable. But what has happened today? Can an average Sri Lankan afford to drink milk? Can an average Sri Lankan afford to give their children some milk? Most Sri Lankans cannot afford to purchase milk. Why is that? The breakdown in the local dairy industry is one of the main reasons for this. Fraud and corruption in the guise of boosting local dairy production had destroyed the local dairy farmers, which had undoubtedly contributed to the economic crisis that we as a country are facing today. Today, we will delve into what happened during this project and how it destroyed local dairy farmers.
Do you remember the project to import dairy heifers?
Newsfirst exposed this controversial import of dairy heifers in the year 2014. According to the Auditor General's report released in May 2018, these dairy heifers were imported under 3 phases. The project to import dairy heifers was launched in the year 2007. Boosting local dairy production, addressing poverty, and bring about economic development were listed as the objectives of this project to import dairy heifers under the Mahinda Chintanaya. Thereby, a proposal to import 4,000 dairy heifers was presented to the Cabinet of Ministers in 2007. In 2012 and 2013, a total of 1,500 dairy heifers were imported to Sri Lanka. After the government of good governance came into power in 2015, a proposal was presented to the Cabinet to import 2,500 dairy heifers under the second phase of the project. 2,495 dairy heifers were imported to Sri Lanka that year and were distributed among dairy farmers across the country. Under the third phase of the project in 2014, a proposal to import 20,000 dairy heifers was approved by the Cabinet. Under this phase, 5,000 dairy heifers were to be imported first, and based on the success of that phase, the remaining 15,000 dairy heifers were to be imported. In 2017, 1,994 dairy heifers were imported to Sri Lanka.
What was wrong with this project?
The government of Mahinda Rajapaksa and the government of good governance had both chosen the same company for the project to import dairy heifers to Sri Lanka. This Australian company was Wellard Rural Export. The first serious error in implementing this project was highlighted in the Auditor General's report. This error was the selection of Wellard Rural Export Private Limited for the project without calling for any tenders. Without correcting this error, the second project to import 20,000 dairy heifers was also awarded to Wellard Rural Export Private Limited, again selected without calling any tenders. Under this second project, 3,024 dairy heifers were imported to Sri Lanka. Many of the imported dairy heifers were sick. The Ministry of Rural Economy had already been informed through the animal quarantine report that these illnesses that have infected the imported dairy heifers could spread among local dairy heifers as well. Many of the imported dairy heifers died. The offspring of these imported dairy heifers were also sickly and passed away not too long after. According to the Auditor General's report, importing dairy heifers with the full knowledge that they are carrying diseases is a grave crime. Without correcting this error, advertisements were published on newspapers regarding the import of dairy heifers under the second project in 2018. The Auditor General's report had also highlighted the fact that the manner in which the dairy heifers were distributed and individuals to whom the dairy heifers were distributed to was suspicious.
How much was the loss caused to the country by this project?
A total of 7.9 billion rupees had been invested in this project that did not yield the results that were expected. The Auditor General's report had highlighted the fact that these dairy heifers were imported on 3 occasions with the full knowledge that the project would end in failure.
Was this not investigated?
A presidential commission investigating large-scale fraud and corruption had launched an inquiry into the import of dairy heifers to ascertain what happened to the taxpayers' money that was invested in this project during the reign of the government of good governance. The commission only investigated into the import of dairy heifers between 2015 and 2019. Former Secretary to the Ministry of Livestock, Renuka Herath, testified before the commission. It was revealed that the final batch of dairy heifers that were imported into the country were infected with the BVD disease. It was also revealed at the commission that the facilities available in Sri Lanka are inadequate to diagnose this disease. Australian media too reported on this controversy. The Auditor General's report revealed that the supplier of the dairy heifers was selected without calling for any tenders. These imported dairy heifers did not provide the expected dairy output, and many of them had died of various diseases. These dairy heifers were imported to the country when the animal quarantine report had specifically highlighted the fact that diseases contracted by these imported dairy heifers could spread among local dairy heifers as well.
What were the economic repercussions caused by this project?
The loss cause can be identified as twofold. One is the direct loss caused to the country's treasury through investing in such a failed project. This is revealed in the Auditor General's report. According to this report, although the National Livestock Development Board had an outstanding of approximately 1,365 million rupees as dues for loans and interest obtained from the Ministry of Finance, none of that had been settled by the 31st of December 2016. In total, by the 31st of December 2017, 43,023,648 US dollars or 7.9 billion rupees had been invested for this project that did not yield any result. Many dairy farmers who had purchased these imported dairy heifers have ended up drowning in debt. Some of their properties have been seized by banks after they defaulted on their loans. Here are some of the views that were expressed by dairy farmers who suffered dearly due to this project marred with fraud and corruption.
ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාන් ගෙනාව සත්තු 50ක් ගත්තා. අද වෙනකොට මට එක සතෙක්වත් නැහැ. අපිත් ප්‍රපාතයට වැටලා ඉන්නේ ණය ගෙවා ගන්න බැරුව. ඒතකොට එතනින් තමයි අපි ලොස්ට් වුනේ. ලංකාවේ නොතිබුණ අසනීප වලින් තමයි මේ සත්තු මැරුනේ.
Although the objective of this project was to boost local dairy production, in the end, the country fell into debt. The dairy farmers were left helpless. The entire nation fell back. And today, a large portion of the dairy industry has fallen into the hands of foreign companies. Due to the inept and corrupt decisions of the representatives elected by the general public, the country and her people are bankrupt today. These incidents were constantly reported by the media. The general public today is very well aware of this dairy heifer scam. Everyone knows that even when dairy heifers were imported from overseas, taxpayers' money was squandered and the people of Sri Lanka were scammed. When will those responsible for these scams be brought to justice?
What happened to Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka decides.
Former SLPP parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa says that the groups who left the party can be brought back together in principle for the general elections.
A public meeting was held in Kegol today and former parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa attended the event.
We must move forward. We are implementing several changes within the party. We hope to make several changes in the party by the end of the general election. Starting in January, we will resume the program to strengthen the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, centering around 36,000 villages, and we will initiate the program to rebuild the SLPP in Sri Lanka.
Former State Minister Shahan Semasinghe confirmed that he will be contesting under former President Ranil Wickremesinghe still in December and emphasized that the entire opposition must unite for the upcoming election.
The group supporting the former president has already decided to contest under the gas cylinder. We are not in a position to express opinions regarding other groups that are contesting, as they are independent groups. They make their decisions within their political camps. I believe that if the opposition contests, it would be better if they do so together. The country needs an opposition, and we trust that the people will make the right decision regarding this as well.
Former MP Nimal Lanka says that candidates running under the gas cylinder symbol for the general election are currently signing their nomination papers.
I believe signing nominations will begin tomorrow. The nomination committees have already convened and we plan to submit our nominations for the Gampa district as well with a very strong group. Having worked closely with the people and engaged in politics alongside them, we are confident that we will achieve a significant victory.
National Executive Member of the National People's Power, Samantha Vidyaratna, says that the people will overcome conspiratorial political agendas at the upcoming general election.
These people are not focused on uniting around a sound policy or a constructive program to develop the country. Their objective is not to build this country, but rather defeat the national people's power. Their conspiratorial agenda is to pull the president by his leg. There's an evil political motive here. We just initiated a new economic and social journey. It has now been 13 days since the president was sworn in, marking 13 days since the new program has begun. As of today, we can see that even those who voted for Sajid and Ranil at the presidential election are now regretting their choices. We didn't expect things to turn out this way. A vote for Sajid or Ranil will not result in them becoming president, prime minister, or securing a ministerial position. Therefore, you need to vote for someone effective. The people of this country now understand the importance of further strengthening this journey at the upcoming general election.
Meanwhile, the Tamil People's General Assembly has decided not to extend their support to any political party at the upcoming general election. During the 2024 presidential election, the Tamil People's General Assembly, comprising of 80 other organizations, pledged their support to presidential candidate P. Aryanethan, who contested as the Tamil Common candidate at the 2024 presidential election. Issuing a statement, the Tamil People's General Assembly said that their support for the Tamil Common candidate at the 2024 presidential election was not motivated by the desire to win the election, but rather aimed at uniting the people for a common purpose. However, the Tamil People's General Assembly said that due to the fragmentation of political parties at the parliamentary election, members of their organizations are free to make their own individual decisions.
The Democratic National Alliance that supported Sajid Premadasa at the presidential election have decided to form a new alliance and contest under symbol of the mailbox.
We supported Sajid Premadasa at the previous presidential election, but there have been no arrangements made for civil activists, professionals or artists to be represented in their mainstream politics. The pattern of passing down nominations from father to son and father to daughter still exists in these mainstream political parties. Whether it be Sajid Premadasa or Ranil Wickremesinghe, everyone in these camps have destroyed this liberal vision. These camps still provide nomination to people who are thieves, smugglers and criminals. As of now, the country is ruled by a group that is free from such corruption. We are ready to support the current president and our alliance is ready, as a large number of us are contesting at the upcoming election to get control of parliament.
Newsfirst with the people.
The special import levy imposed on potatoes and big onions have been increased.
The special import levy on potatoes has been increased by 10 rupees per kilogram. The previous special import levy, which was at 50 rupees per kilogram, will now be increased to 60 rupees per kilo. The Minister of Finance said that the special import levy on big onions has been increased by 20 rupees per kilogram. The new import levy on big onions will be 30 rupees per kilo. This decision has been made with the aim of supporting local farmers.
The Ministry of Defence says that although 48 hours have passed since the ministry notified civilians to return their firearms and ammunition, no one has yet complied with the directive.
The Ministry of Defence has confirmed that 1,690 firearms had been issued to 1,500 civilians in the country. A senior official from the Ministry of Defence said that all firearms and ammunition issued to civilians must be returned to the government's Commercial Explosives Unit by November 7. The Ministry of Defence added that in the future, firearms will only be issued based on an assessment conducted through intelligence reports.
The awards ceremony of the first ever female decorating batch of the MSTI Maritime Academy was held in Katkurunda.
The MSTI Maritime Academy, supported by the International Labour Organization or the ILO, in collaboration with the National Union of Seafarers Sri Lanka, awarded certificates to the first ever female deck rating batch in Katakurunda. Directress of ILO Sri Lanka and Maldives, Joni Simpson, attended the event as the chief guest, while the chairman of the MSTI Maritime Academy, Captain Ajit Piris, a delegation of MSTI staff, and the families of the cadet officers attended the event. Directress of ILO Sri Lanka and Maldives, Joni Simpson, presented the keynote address. 12 female cadet officers were awarded certificates in the awarding ceremony.
Children are the future of our country and they are our most valuable treasure. That's why we emphasize that children are more precious than anyone else. Sirasa Signal Lama Lokya, organized by the Sirasa Media Network for Future Generations, was held today at Vihara Mahadevi Park in Colombo.
Vihara Mahadevi Park was filled with little children from all over the island this morning. The Children's Day celebrations kicked off with great enthusiasm, graced by the presence of the Municipal Commissioner of the Colombo Municipal Council, Bhadrani Jayawardena, and Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shevan Daniel.
There are millions of children in Sri Lanka who don't even know that a special day is dedicated to them. At this very moment, some of them watching TV might be thinking that we are celebrating in Colombo without including them. But that's not the case. Sirasa Media Network works closely with the people of this country. Every initiative we undertake, like Gammadda, is aimed at securing a better future for the children of Sri Lanka. If we want to build this nation, we must create a country where there is no discrimination based on race or religion. If a child feels that they can't lead a happy life because of their ethnicity, religion, or economic conditions, then we can't hope to build a brighter future. Everything we do is to ensure that every child has a chance.
Municipal Commissioner of the Colombo Municipal Council, Bhadrani Jayawardena, shared a message with the parents and children.
These children are exceptionally talented, demonstrating remarkable skills at such a young age. However, due to a lack of support and resources, many of them grow up feeling hesitant to come forward and to take decisions. We must teach our children to handle both victories and losses with the same grace. When a friend succeeds, they should learn to celebrate that success with happiness. It's crucial that we nurture their personalities to embrace these values. I urge parents to safeguard their children and instill in them the belief that nothing is impossible, especially when there is strong will and determination.
After the opening ceremony, the chief guests took the time to observe how the children engaged in various attractive activities specially designed for them. Vihara Mahadevi Park was alive with the joyful laughter of children who were happily celebrating the spirit of the day. Children enthusiastically engaged in climbing, which is an Olympic game. Another exciting highlight of Children's Day was the activity on rescue operations organized by the Fire Service Department of the Colombo Municipal Council. Ziplining was one of the exciting activities organized for the children. Children also participated in a reading camp organized in collaboration with the Colombo Public Library, aimed at fostering a love for reading. Additionally, a painting camp was held to encourage creative thinking and self-expression among the young children. Kandy, Askiria Police Kennel, organized an exciting dog show as well. Sri Lanka Air Force official kennel also added color to the dog show. Children from across the island united to showcase their photos in a collective display for a united Sri Lanka. This provided them with a unique opportunity to place their images on a map of Sri Lanka, allowing them to express their visions and aspirations for a harmonious future.
පුරවන්න මේ අපේ මේ සංවිධානාත්මක දිනයේ විශේෂිතම දේර තමයි මේ හැම ප්‍රදේශයකින්ම පොලිත්තන් ඇවිල්ලා මේ ආකාරයට ඔවුන්ගේ සිනහව ඔවුන්ගේ ආදරය අපිත් එක්ක බෙදා ගන්න ආකාරය.
Children also got the opportunity to face Newsfirst screen tests.
Sirasa TV ළමා ලෝකය
The festival was further enhanced by vibrant dance performances from preschool children showcasing their talent. Throughout the day, Sirasa TV organized a variety of engaging activities that provided children with a truly wonderful experience. To ensure a bright future for our country, it is essential that we protect and nurture our children. Investing in their development is, in a sense, an investment in our future. That is why it is crucial to lay a solid foundation in their lives, empowering them to thrive and succeed in the years to come.
Moving on to news overseas, Israel has issued fresh evacuation orders in southern Lebanon after the strikes on Beirut this morning.
The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says 26 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes on a mosque and school housing displaced Palestinians in the center of the territory. The Israeli military said it had targeted Hamas militants operating within command and control centers at the sites. In North Gaza, Israeli forces surrounded the Jabalia area in response to what it said were Hamas efforts to rebuild. The military also issued new possible evacuation zones in the north and reopened routes to a humanitarian area. Sunday strikes occurred almost exactly 1 year from 7th of October 2023 when Hamas gunmen attacked Israel, killing around 1,200 people and taking 251 hostage. Since then, 41,870 Palestinians have been killed and more than 97,000 injured in Gaza, according to the health ministry.
Maldivian President Mohamed Morsi is expected to seek a bailout during his visit to India this week as the archipelago nation stares at an economic crisis with fears of debt default.
It is Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzo's first official bilateral visit after he was voted to power late last year following a campaign centered on an India-out policy with a promise to reduce Delhi's influence. Since then, ties have been strained between the countries, but experts say that the visit indicates that the Maldives can't afford to ignore its giant neighbor. The foreign exchange reserves of the Maldives stood at about $440 million in September, just enough for 1.5 months of imports. Last month, global agency Moody's downgraded the Maldives' credit ratings, saying that default risks have risen materially. According to reports, an Indian bailout will bolster the country's foreign currency reserves.
And in sports news, India beat Pakistan by 6 wickets in the ICC Women's T20 World Cup today.
In the match played in Dubai, Pakistan batting first opened their innings with Muniba Ali and Gul Feroza. Gul Feroza was dismissed before she could score any runs by Renuka Thakur. Sidra Amin managed to score 8 runs. Umaima Sohail was dismissed for 3 runs by Arundhati Reddy. Muniba Ali was dismissed for 17 runs. The highest scorer for Pakistan was Nida Dar, who put up 28 runs. Pakistan only managed to score 105 runs for the loss of 8 wickets. Arundhati Reddy bagged 3 wickets. Smriti Mandhana and Shafali Verma opened India's innings. Smriti Mandhana was dismissed for just 7 runs by Sadia Iqbal. Shafali Verma scored 32 runs. Jemima Rodriguez was dismissed for 23 runs. Captain Harmanpreet Kaur was forced to leave the field due to an injury after scoring 29 runs. India chased down the target set by Pakistan with just 18 overs for the loss of 4 wickets.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.